got to be Japanese, straight off the card.
Chinese.
Oh,
That is
no.
how you say hello game day in Chinese.
Wow, I got arrogant there.
Ni hao yoshiri. So if there's any Chinese people listening, please correct me if I've absolutely butchered that.
And
which
feel very welcome. It's an open space.
Now, Ponchi, massive week on the potty this week. We've got Tim Taranto, GWS grand final player last year and the best and fairest in a massive year. So this was an absolute ripper of an interview.
Yeah, he was a great bloke. He got up early as well for us just to be able to get the interview done. So we really appreciate him coming on. And guys, get excited for this interview.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And thank you so much to Timmy Taranto. What a great man. Now, Ponchi, what have you got for me?
A little bit of story time. Now, on the weekend, we were having a chat and yakking it up and reminiscing on times. Now, our good mate Dan Gauchi reminded me of this story. We're up on the Gold Coast, and it was one of Tuki's first preseason games. So it was technically for us the first time to see him at AFL level. So we all get up to the Gold Coast at Metricon Stadium. Anyways, the game goes on, and at the end of it, we're giving Ben Dixon a bit of heckling on the banjo line as well.
I remember that.
Bit of laughing. Anyways, there was this massive moth that flew onto his shoulder. Now, it would have been, honestly, like, for people who can't see, about 5 centimetres in wingspan.
Mate,
It was a...
5 centimeters, that is the worst comparison. It's about, if you put your two hands together, like make a circle with your two hands like that, it was a fucking massive.
Yeah, it was a big puppy. So Ben Dixon flicks it off his shoulder and kind of flicks into the crowd near us. And you just happen to have the audacity out of nowhere just to grab it, shove it in your mouth and eat it. And the disgust from everyone. Mate, I was shocked. Like, there's a lot of things I find funny, but I was literally shocked when you did it. I was like, I
So
couldn't believe
Ben
it.
Dixon's flicked it off his shoulder and it's landed on a supporter nearby. And before she was able to flick it off, I said, wait. Because everyone was watching. Everyone was like, this fucking moth is massive. And everyone could not believe this huge moth that had just landed on Ben Dixon. He flicks it off. It lands on a supporter. I was like, wait. And I just seized the opportunity. I grabbed this moth by the wings and I ate it. Now, for all of you vegans out there, I'm terribly sorry, but I was a younger man at the time.
This is in your days where you would eat anything, and you did.
And the whole crowd, everyone there was looking at me in absolute pure and utter disgust.
Yeah.
And including Ben Dixon. He looked at me like, is this bloke serious?
Mate, I've never seen a crowd turn on someone so quickly after one moth incident.
I would love to eventually, if I ever meet Ben Dixon, just ask him if he remembers that, because that's about my claim to fame at this stage of my life, unfortunately. So give us your pump ups this week, Poncho.
So this week, an honourable mention is to Josh Kennedy, kicking 7 goals when Collingwood only kicked 6 themselves. So you got to give him the pump up. But this week, we talk about him all the time, but this moment was incredible. Tuki's tackle on Bontempelli. And Tuki had a ripping game. Like, this is one of the best games I've seen him play, but this was unseen in these unprecedented times. This is an unprecedented tackle. So have a look at this bad boy.
Which drops it at his feet.
Jesus, that
He was saddled up and tackled by Miller.
I just don't know how he held it. It shows the strength that he has.
I think he jumped over the top of him and Bontempelli flips him over the front of him, and I think Took grabs him by like the
scruff of his shirt.
but like in the armhole there, and he has that. It's just grip strength.
Yeah, I've never seen that before, so I thought that was worth a pump up this week.
Yeah, that's massive because far out. What a tackle. The only other thing I've ever seen close to that was when Jed Lamb was playing for Bentley, for my local club, when he played a few games after leaving Carlton, and it was on the sideline right next to the bench, and this massive bloke just runs into Lammy full pace, and Lammy just grabs him and just flips him. It was like stopping an immovable force. An unstoppable force, but yeah.
Absolutely.
So last week, mate, how'd you go with your Golden Rogies and your dead set certainty?
My Golden Rogie, I should be the mayor of the week this week. My Golden Rogie, I said that because Collingwood's defence has been keeping teams with a low score, that they'd beat them. I didn't think West Coast had been doing as well as they are. They've come out and got the biggest score of the round. So I couldn't have been more wrong.
You could not have been more wrong.
So I stank it up there, but my certainty, Carlton got the job done by 7 points against North. I was a bit nervous, but we got there in the end, so I'm happy with myself.
You've had an absolute Riley O'Brien there. My Golden Rogie, I thought I'd get it this week. I even did a soft one. It was Charlie Cameron and Eric Hipwood to combine for 5 goals and the Lions to win. Lions got the win, but boys couldn't combine for 5, unfortunately. I think they got 3 between them, so not too bad, but you'd expect better. Eric Hipwood was very quiet. And then my dead set certainty is the game tonight for Geelong to beat Fremantle. So
you'd be nervous.
Yeah, I am. So let's talk about the upcoming fixtures, mate. We're not going to go through them all.
Yeah.
Because we want to single out a few games. So what game are you singling out?
Yeah, so for me, the Port versus Melbourne game. Now, Melbourne have just come off a 4-point loss to the Lions. They're in really good form now. I think they've won the last 3 or 4 of their last 5 games or something along the lines. They're on a bit of a streak. And this would really put their foot in the ring this year. If they could knock off Port, and I think it is at Port's home ground, it's a statement for them. They've started off poorly, but they could be showing the form of the 2018 year. And I'm really excited. They've got some good, exciting young players. I just really want to see them kind of announce themselves, and this could be the game to do it.
Yep. And I was listening to the commentators yesterday, saying Melbourne have got such a talented list. They're playing good footy. They're banging down the door. They're getting so close they can almost taste it. But now you're so right. They need that big win against Port this weekend. And I reckon they could do it. I reckon they're a real sniff to do it. They've been getting just so close. And it's about time they knocked a big team off and got a scalp.
Yeah, and then that would pretty much put them in the 8, and they'd be setting their season up very nicely. So I'm excited to see that game this week.
Yeah, and my game this week would be Collingwood versus Fremantle. Now, Collingwood have gotten an absolute spanking from West Coast. But I think that there's a few demons there with Collingwood and West Coast, because Collingwood always seem to struggle against West Coast. They also had a Pendlebury pull out a few minutes before the game, which psychologically obviously played a massive toll. Now, I'm not going to say that one player had such a massive impact, but they also had Geordie De Goey bang 5 goals in the week before. He was out. His first time he'd played out and out forward all year, and he absolutely killed it. Still side bottom, still not in, and then Pendlebury going out late. I feel like they were really depleted on the weekend. So this weekend against Fremantle, they're going to get Pendlebury and side bottom back. Now, that game against West Coast was the first time since 2009 that they hadn't had one of those blokes playing, which is ridiculous.
Incredible. That's
it's
an incredible
a ridiculous stat.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that those guys are really the backbone of this team. They'll get both of them back. That'll be a massive boost for morale for the team.
Absolutely.
And I'm predicting that they might give Braden Sire a run because they've been walloped. They might need to swing the axe a little bit. Braden Sire is a bull in the midfield. They got beaten quite comprehensively in the midfield. They're going to get Pendlebury and side bottom back, but I reckon that they could probably do with one more big midfielder because Geordie's out for quite a while.
Yeah.
So that's just what I'm saying, and they need to respond.
I like it. I like it a lot, Moosey.
Yeah. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you're saying bringing Sire in, you said he's a bull, and he always is consistent with whatever level he's playing at. So someone probably needs to get dropped after a loss like that. So they need to respond, and I reckon they will once they have that caliber of players returning.
Yep. And who is your golden rogie?
Golden rogie this week. Once again, I like to be a bit outside the box. There's 5 teams that have birds as an emblem. So I've gone 4 out of 5 birds will win this week. I was going to go the 5 out of 5, but there's a couple of real underdogs, especially when you got Adelaide in there. So 4 out of 5 birds will win this week.
You're predicting the birds to have a dominant week.
Yeah, loving the birds.
All right, cool.
That's I've just gone for an outside, something different.
No, I like that.
Yeah,
I've gone for something different as well. Now, Josh Kennedy's kicked 11 goals in the last 2 weeks, and I'm predicting that he gets held to 0 goals by Blitzars this week.
I like it,
against the Cats. And my dead set certainty is St Kilda this week to beat the Swannies.
That's surprising, mate, because I thought you might have picked them. So I went to the liberty of getting a little bit of footage from last week. So let me just get this up for you, just to remind you of what you thought about St Kilda.
And I think it is generous because, for me, I think that St Kilda are a little bit of a hype train at the moment. And I think that Port might cut them off at the knees and beat them by 30-plus points.
So you're backing in the hype train, mate, of last week. Now, I want you to review that because in the media, like every other media, they say things and they get away with bagging teams with saying something. St Kilda have come out and had a ripping game. What do you say about that footage from last week?
what I would say about that is that I was coming off an 8 out of 9 tipping week, and I had a head of steam, and I actually, you know what, I'm human, Ponch. I can't be perfect as much as you think I am sometimes, and I've made a blunder. I've had a mare with that one, and St Kilda, mate, the hype is real. I will eat my words right here, right now. They've gone and belted Port, and they played phenomenally. Brett Ratton, what a coach. He's just doing an amazing job. So I am sorry, St Kilda boys. Thank God I didn't back against you as my certainty, because I would be writing another apology letter.
So yeah, that's a bit of a laugh. You never see in the main media, if people get it wrong, they never go back and say, look, I stuffed up. And I'd like to see a bit of that with us, but even in the media, because no one does it. No one likes to admit when they're wrong. So my certainty this week is the Lions.
You're going for the Lions to beat the Bombers in your certainty?
Yeah. I'm hoping they'll get over the line. Bombers came off a pretty average game, nearly lost to Adelaide. So,
mate, you haven't reviewed this clip, but I've actually said last week that I reckon if anyone's going to lose to Adelaide, it's going to be the Bombers. I did say that last week. I was like, I reckon they're having a good season. Everyone reckons they're all good, but it's such an Essendon thing to do to go and lose to Adelaide.
No,
so
actually,
they nearly
I do remember that, and I purposely didn't put that in because I didn't want to pump you up.
So you bet I've got a big enough down. Now, there's a few more topics that we want to go through, brother.
Yep. So what I found over the weekend and probably this year, the crossing the mark rule. So to describe it, when a player takes a mark or they get a free kick and they move back off their mark, and there's the player zone that people can't impede in. For me, I think it's ruining the game when a player who is just running forward for the next contest to kind of move forward, they're in the protected zone, but they're not necessarily impeding where the player is going to kick. They don't get in his way. But then a 50-metre free kick is being paid. I think they need to adjust that rule to, suit the game. So if a bloke runs past while the guy's trying to make his kick on the mark and it gets in his way or it affects him and he's in the zone, then pay the free kick. Don't just pay it because they're in the zone and that's the rule, because the player is not affecting the game and it's just ruining it. And it's just free kicks that are just... It's not even enjoyable to see. It frustrates me because I know how it feels to be a player and to have a bullshit free kick pretty much paid against you for something that's just a stupid rule that's not obviously been organised correctly.
Right. And it is like a 50-metre penalty. It's a big deal.
That's
in the context of most games, if the game's in the balance and then you get a 50-metre paid against you for that.
A big pack mark on the wing, so everyone kind of front and centre, they get around it, and then people are trying to disperse from that contest, and someone runs past, and they get the 50-metre free kick. That's into the forward line, and that's a kickable goal. So, it kind of ruins the game a little bit and the integrity of it when you're giving away soft free kicks like this. So, I want to see that get adjusted. Obviously, we're not going to have the pull like an Alistair Clarkson get on the microphone and things will change, but that frustrates the hell out of me watching that stuff.
Yeah. And I do agree, man. I think it does need a review. And the other thing we wanted to talk about was fixtures. Now, I've been loving it. I've been loving having my Monday night fixtures and my Thursday night fixtures. It's fantastic. And we've got 20-odd days of footy in a row now. And thank God, because Victoria, we're in lockdown at the moment. We've got bugger all else to do. And if there wasn't footy on every night, people would be going mental. And I mean that from the most sincere perspective, because it is a really challenging time for a lot of people. And to have something to look forward to have a game of footy to watch, which we all love, is an amazing thing. So thank you to the AFL for that. And
absolutely.
It really gets me thinking about fixtures in general.
So, it's just exciting just to have the Monday through... Well, the one now that we're getting 20 days in a row and we get to watch it every night. I know what I'll be doing every night. Go home, put the feet up, watch a bit of footy. So it's very exciting to kind of, have footy when there's nothing else you can do besides sitting at home and watching a screen.
Yep. Now, I want to pitch something to you.
Yes.
Now, it's very audacious, and I want to get your thoughts on it, all right? I like to think outside of the box with this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So English Premier League and basketball, the way that they operate is that they have a lot of, first of all, domestic competitions, which I really love. The English Premier League has the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, which is, competitions that are... you can win a trophy for. I'm not saying the AFL does that because I don't think they quite have the power to do external competitions just yet. But the English Premier League, every club plays each other twice. So they have a longer season than what we have. And the basketball, there's pretty much basketball on every night. I'm not a fan of basketball, but from my understanding, they're just always rolling.
It's like fixtures. 3-day turnarounds. Exactly. And sometimes they do play the next day. So
now I know AFL is a grueling game, and it would 3-day turnarounds would not be possible. But there are 44 players on the list. There are players banging down the door to get their opportunity at senior level. Now, this is very audacious, Poncho, but I think that it would be, in a perfect world, possible to have a fixture of 36 games, sorry. So every team plays each other twice.
Yep.
So you play 34 games
sense.
because you'd play 17 other teams.
Yeah.
There's 17 other teams. So you play 34 games, right? So there would have to be 10 games added into the season. So you'd have, midweek fixtures. Now, you have 44 players on every list. If you had to bring a few extra players in, you then have to bring extra players into your VFL or your NEFL side or your waffle side. There are under 18 level kids who are looking to prove themselves against big body midfielders. We brought up with Tim Taranto that he never got to play against the big bodies until he got to AFL level. In the Sandful, there's under 18s kids playing against men. In the Waffle, there's under 18s playing against men. So I don't see why VFL couldn't bring in something similar. There's also blokes who have missed out on the draft who might be going for their top-up year in the TAC Cup as well. There's guys who are playing really high level at VAFA and at local leagues who could come in and just play VFL, see how they go. So I see it as like a filtering process where you bring some blokes into the senior side and then you bring some blokes into the twos side and then you have more fixtures. We get to see more players playing. We get to see more games, more days of AFL.
I think you're absolutely kidding yourself. And I just think, it's hard enough getting a 23 season game going along, like 23 game season. Blokes getting injured, putting more people on the list as well doesn't, help all the fans see more footy. You're going to see it at a lower level. You want the best players playing and the highest level. So that brings the level of the game down. People are already struggling. They need to put a couple of buys in just so that people can get through the 23 game season. And if you're putting an extra 10 games on that, it's not going to happen. And especially, the NBA and the Premier League, they're non-contact sports. You look at the NFL, they play once a week because it's full contact. And our sport's probably the most grueling because you're running 15 Ks a game if you're the most. And, full contact tackling, no pads like they have. It is such a brutal game. And I think there's no way that anyone would even consider extending it. And I understand the pathways thing. It makes sense. But, NEFL, besides VFL, everyone else has players who are under 18 that are playing high level. And the reason why VFL doesn't is because the TAC is the premier league for kids who are 18 years old. And we've got such a strong brand of footy down there. So the opportunity is there for Victorian under 18 kids as well. They've actually got probably the best opportunity of the lot. So I have to disagree in the highest order with everything you've said. But it is an interesting thing to kind of think about.
I just think that, it would, like the way that we've seen it recently has really got me thinking about having more footy over more time. And I think that the value of having more games and more days would mean that there'd be more broadcasting rights. So the AFL would have to have, if we had games, say, every day but Tuesday and Wednesday, we'd get more broadcasting rights, more broadcasting money. It would bring more eyes to the game. Interstate, they'd probably be watching it more as well because the NRL wouldn't be on, maybe chuck on the footy. That means more money into the game as well. I think that there are benefits. I do see what you're saying though with the lower.
I reckon you can still do the Thursday to Monday and not have the extra 10 games. I agree with that because broadcasting rights, and also a lot more people. If you've got one game to focus on every night, a lot more people put their eyes on that. Whereas when you have it compact into a Friday to Sunday, people might pick only 1 or 2 games a weekend. This way, you get people picking 4 games, 5 games. So I think in that sense, you don't need more games, but you definitely get a lot more viewership.
Well, yeah, I did say it was a very radical idea.
Yeah, I know. I will. I'm happy you said that because when you said it before about thinking about it, I was like, nah, I'm absolutely going to blow up here.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. I think if you put a few weeks on either side of the season, in my head, it kind of works. And then in my head, you get more chances for the VFL players to come and show themselves at AFL level, the guys who aren't quite getting a game in the ones. And often you see guys come in from who aren't, regular ones players who will come get their chance and play well. And then you get guys who can't get a look in at VFL level, getting a game there. So I don't know.
I don't think...
I'm glad we talked about it.
Well, I don't think you just need to gift people games. Like, I want the best people playing and the highest quality of football. So that's my stance on it.
Mate, completely
agree. Like it. It's good topic.
Now...
What caught Moose's eye?
I'll give you the sting, brother.
Give us a little sting.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
Not happy.
Not. I'm not happy because I'm seeing some concerning things, and the reason, and so what I'm seeing is players diving for free kicks to turn over the free kick decisions. Now, mate, when you have a free kick paid against you, someone's going to come and give you a bit of argy-bargy and let you know about it. That's a part of our game. You can't be going over like a sack of potatoes when someone gives you a bump so that you can try to turn over the free kick. I understand from the point of view that it's gamesmanship, that you do what you can to get a free kick to save your team a goal. But I saw a bad one from Mark Murphy on the weekend. Jasper Pittard gave him one after he gave the free kick away. Just cop it, mate. Just cop the whack. You've messed up. Don't go jumping over like a sack of shit because it's honestly, it's a bad look for our game. We're a hard-nosed game. We pride ourselves on being courageous, putting our head over the footy. The biff is already dead as it is, but the biff is now, we're now spitting on its grave.
Imagine the blokes from the 80s. They used to run past and literally punch each other in the head, and that was just a free kick. These days, you'd get 6 to 8 weeks for that. So, like, the game, I'm not saying we want any of that, but, we don't want to go down the road where you see soccer players just flopping, and it's so embarrassing.
Well, that's why I find it really concerning, because we look at the soccer players and we laugh at that because they'll go over, and it's not it's like I wouldn't have any pride in going over and just falling over for nothing. Like we laugh at that, and I find it very, very worrisome to see blokes diving, because that is not a part of the fabric of our game.
Yeah, like I understand if you've got a jumper being held or you kind of look at the umpire, but faking, getting hurt and laying down. Or some blokes, they lay down for a couple of seconds, the play moves on, and you just see them pop up just out as the screen's going out. And I'm like, you've just flopped, and for me, it's not a good look for our game.
Yeah, absolutely not. So that's what caught my eye. I really need to get that off my chest, Poncho. It's not the first thing I've had to get off my chest in this segment.
Now, the Mare of the Week. Take this one through and tell us what we've got.
Mate, there aren't too many mares. You're the Mare of the Week after that tip against West Coast. So, but
coming from old St Kilda, buddy, hype train.
Play that a Mare. So the Riley O'Brien Mare of the Week is sponsored by the Riley O'Brien is Jack Darling. He's had an absolute howler.
Oh my goodness!
He's been kicked the ball. I think it was maybe Tim Kelly who kicked him the footy.
Silver service. Yeah, could have kicked the goal himself, but he sees Big Jack open 10 metres out. Jack goes to take the mark. He's been surfing with Mick Fanning during the week, so obviously his head's still in the waves, in the water. He's been having a good surf. And Big Jackie boy has Butterfingers drop the mark. The ball's come through, falconed him, hit him on the head. Not only that, Big Jackie boy has turned around and completely lost his bearings and doesn't know where the footy is. And it is just hilarious. You could sense the PTSD after the grand final against Collingwood, where he could have iced the game and he dropped in the goal square. And the one against Hawthorn, I had to look back through, they could have kicked a goal and they would have been within like 2 or 3 goals. He drops the mark in the goal square, turnover, direct goal, and kill any momentum they had that grand final. So he's had a couple where he just spends it before he has it, and it's just a shocking thing.
But then he's gone and taken a ripper grab.
That's what I mean. And then he has full concentration, like in the goal square, and he takes like a mini hanger. And even I reckon he was just like...
He turns it on, and he looks unstoppable. And then he just has absolute mares of the week.
Brain lapses. Like, it's just incredible. And he's had a few of the biggest we've ever seen. So... yeah, that is an absolute mare.
He's had a mare. He's had a Riley O'Brien sponsored Mare of the Week. Now, moving on, mate. No one wants to hear us yabbing on anymore. We've got Timmy Taranto coming on the show. Another big thank you to the great man. This was an unbelievable interview from a player who's just absolutely killing it at the moment.
Yeah, his third season was just phenomenal. Like, best and fairest player, and he's just come in and just tore the game a new one. So played in last year's grand final. This bloke is an absolute ripper, and I'm so rapt that we could get him on the show. So, yeah, I'm anything else you want to add before this interview?
Yeah, I actually do, because after we've interviewed him, and the great man is just before training, right?
Yes.
So it's just before his training session. He's got to really wrap the interview up. After it, we're trying to have a chat with him. You've actually started chewing his ear off. I can actually see a bit of his ear hanging off.
Yeah, you know me. When I get on there, I don't let go.
You're gnawing away at his ear. And the great man has said to you, all right, is it okay if I leave now?
It's just like, can you guys piss off?
Yeah,
I've been a good bloke. Let me go.
I've given you a job out now. Can I fucking get out of here?
No, he was awesome. What an awesome guy. And it just shows the personality on the bloke. He's a good bloke. So
All right. Enjoy, guys. Timmy Taranto interview coming up. Thank you for listening to the Hello Game Day podcast. Another ripping episode here with Big Timmy Taranto. Make sure you give us a like, subscribe wherever you're listening to because it really helps us and makes our content look good to YouTube. Don't know if it is though, is it, Poncho?
yeah, it's better than your haircut at the minute, mate. Probably better than both. So I hope you guys enjoy this interview. We had a good time doing it. That's all from me. All right, guys. This week we have got Tim Taranto on the show. He is a Sandy Dragons boy. He's also a Skevies boy, which we love. Pick 2 in the 2016 draft for GWS. Timmy, give us your biggest Hello Game Day, mate.
Hello Game Day. Thanks for having me, boys.
Thank you, mate. Thank you for getting up early on a training day for us. How are you feeling after your big win against Richmond?
Yeah, good. Pretty relieved. It's an important win for us. Needed the 4 points, so just good to get going.
Nice, mate. Now, we don't muck around on this show. We get straight into the stitch-ups. So you probably expect a few because your mate has hooked us up with this interview with you. So firstly, mate, we do a bit of research and I've looked on Wikipedia to get a bit more insight into you as a bloke and a footballer. And I couldn't help but have come across something that was written there that said, Tim Taranto, greatest AFL player of all time. And I want to know, mate, did you put it up there?
On Wikipedia?
On the Wikipedia?
Nah. Nah, God, no. Nah, definitely not. That's not me. Nah, I don't know how that's got up there. Definitely not true.
But with that, being the greatest of all time, or the GOAT perhaps, we've actually heard that you've got a GOAT tattoo on your hip, mate. So what's the story behind that?
Yeah, I do. I did get a GOAT tattoo on the last day of school. Me and a few of the boys from school, in a group called the Goats, I guess, and we got a GOAT tattoo on the last day of school. So my other good mate, Lockie McDonald, got one on his ankle, and I've been running with it ever since. Proud of it too.
And what does your mother think about all the tattoos? Was she impressed with your first one?
Yeah, no, that one's only small, so she didn't mind that. But you know, when I got the big ones on my leg, she cried for the first few minutes when I saw her. But I think she's gotten used to them now, and I think she's just given up on me a little bit, so she's okay.
After the second and the third, there's not much more you could do. Now, we've got a bit of a story about an admirer you had when you were a junior footballer, and he used to come to your game and count all your stats. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. My mate Joey, he came to every game and did my stats and little game reviews and whatnot, and helps me out a lot.
Another one, mate, is that on the weekend after your game, you've played an integral role in getting the win over the Tigers. Phil Davis is doing a bit of roaming in the rooms afterwards, and he's come up to you and he's blindsided you a little bit, and you've dropped the F-bomb and then you've said shit after it. How did you feel after that?
Yeah, it did blindside me. I wasn't really ready for it. I thought it was just Phil doing something for a Giants podcast or a Giants bit of footage, but it was on live TV, which I wasn't aware of. And yeah, just slipped out. I was just pretty happy after the win, and just dropped out. As
you would be, mate. It was a fantastic win. Now, another thing we've heard is that apparently you're a good-looking rooster, mate, but apparently you've got some ugly thumbs. So could we get a thumbs up, please? God, stubby, aren't they?
That's what you're gonna get.
I don't look too bad from here.
I thought they were quite stubby.
That's exactly what Couchy sent in.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Fuck that
guy. So, you have your family days at the club, obviously, and apparently on your second year at the club, you've had your GWS family day. And Nick Gauci and another one of your mates have come to the family day. And you've told them not to, but they've both rocked up in GWS player and coach's kits. Can you please tell us the story behind that?
Yeah, so Gauch and my mate Lockie were staying with me, and we had a family day at the club. And I was playing with some kids, kicking the footy or whatever. And then Gauch and Lockie rocked up, and Gauch was dressed up as Leon. He had the Giants zip up and the trackies and the hat on, and like he was in the full Giants like outfit, like he was about to play a game of footy. Or maybe it was the other way around. I don't even know. But yeah, they started like joining in with all the like 8-year-olds and kicking the footy around and stuff. And the whole club actually knows them now. They're kind of funny. They're kind of like little cult figures a bit. So they're idiots, but that was good fun.
Have you invited them back to the club, or do you just sort of keep them away now?
Oh, they come every time they get a chance. I was there in pre-season, and then they came and joined in with some of our training sessions and whatnot. So they're kind of friends with a few of the boys now, and they absolutely love it.
Nice, mate. Well, we'll get off all the stitch-ups now, so we'll get into a few more serious things. So, thanks. We try our best. Obviously, being picked too, you're a highly touted player as a junior, but was there ever a breakout moment where you realised, shit, I probably will get picked up and play AFL as a career?
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling when I was probably 17 or 18. It was my last game, I think, of my junior or my bottom age year, and I had a really good game, and I thought, yeah, maybe I could actually have a good under 18 year and get picked up. And I kind of just built up through the year, and as it got closer, it got touted as a higher pick, which I didn't mind, and ended up pick 2, which was a big surprise coming into the draft. But I'm glad it went that way.
Lovely, mate. So what was your draft night experience? Where were you? And obviously you're a bit surprised you said you went to GWS. Where were you expecting to go that night?
Yeah, I had a feeling it could be GWS, but I think Gold Coast had a few picks in the top 10. I think they had 3 or 4. And I was with my good mates, Ollie Florent and Jack Scrimshaw. And we thought maybe they'd pick us 3 up with their picks and kind of keep us mates together. So I thought that was an opportunity. I think Freo had a couple picks too, and then Giants had a few picks. So I knew I was kind of going to be moving. I just didn't know really where.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And so you go up to GWS, and after your pre-season, you break into the seniors immediately. From the TAC system and obviously playing St Kevin's boys football, you don't come up against senior bodies. So how did you find, besides playing the pre-season games in the March series, how did you find coming up against the bigger bodies and the pace of the game from the first round?
Yeah, it is. It's a completely different game, to be honest. The big bodies, and there's a lot of congestion in AFL, so there's a lot less time, I guess, to make decisions and whatnot. So that took me a couple of years to get a grasp of, and I put on a bit of weight since then, which was handy. But yeah, it definitely takes a couple of years, I reckon.
Nice, mate. Now, obviously, your 2019 year was absolutely scintillating. So I'll rattle off a couple of stats for you. You played all 26 games, and you're only one of 4 players at the club to do that. You averaged just under 28 disposals per game, and you broke the club record for disposals of a season, which is 721. You were the best player for the GWS in the finals. Well, I'm not too sure if that was officially announced, but clearly you were. And you finished the year off with a best and fairest. So what did you focus on specifically in your football craft to kind of get that drastic improvement in your game?
Oh, I think it's just mindset. I think every training session to try and get better, and every year I just want to build on each year. And I got more opportunity last year as a midfielder. And I guess, I was pretty lucky. I played every game, so my body was really good last year. And I just kind of tried to do my bit every week for the team, and got rewarded in the end. So, no, it was a great year. It was a lot of fun. Obviously didn't finish off great, but, it's one of the best years of football I've had, so I was really happy with it.
Absolutely, mate. It was super consistent, super level of football. And what was the grand final experience like? Because, you come into the biggest week in your football life. You've got the parade, then obviously coming up to game day. How did you prepare, and how were the nerves coming into the game?
Yeah, it was probably one of the best moments of footy for me. Leading into that game that week was after we beat the Pies, and then to do the grand final week and the parade and all that was probably the best experience I've had as a footy player. So I just tried to keep the week as normal as possible. Obviously, it's pretty different, but I just tried to enjoy it. But then, obviously you got to the game, and it wasn't a good ending, but, it was a great experience nonetheless, and, something I'll never forget.
Absolutely, man. I think you're probably one of the only boys who could hold your head high. You had an absolute ripping game that day. Now, with the Bullhorn celebration, where has that come about, and when did you start bringing that into your game?
Yeah, well, it's kind of not really a bull actually. I was with my good mate Lockie, who you were just talking about before, and they were up staying with me in Sydney, and they're thinking you need to get a celebration. So we kind of him and Gouch were kind of rattling off some ideas. And because I'm from Texas, or my dad's from Texas, we kind of thought the Longhorns, which is like that. Um, so I was playing Sydney that night. I think it was round 4 last year or something, round 5. And they said if you kick a goal, just put the Longhorns up. So I just started doing that. And it's kind of got mistaken for a bull, but I'll just run with it. I'll take what I can get.
And have you been to Texas?
Yeah, so I've been there, 15, 20 times. My dad lives over there, so I've got 3 little brothers over there too. So I get over there every chance I can get. It might be a while at the moment. Who knows when I'll be able to get over there? But I love going over there and seeing Dad and my little brothers.
Yeah, it's all a bit up in the air. So do you love the Texas barbecue? And whereabouts is he from? Austin or Houston?
He's from Dallas, but we've kind of been all around Texas. Been to Austin, which is a really cool city. Been to Houston, where some of his family's from, but I always try and branch out and go to a few other places when I'm in the States just to make the most of it. But yeah, I love getting over there.
Right. And, that's your old man side. But then on your mum's side as well, you've got a really young mum, and she's obviously in her 20s, spent her time, like driving you around to footy games and everything. How much of a close relationship do you have with your mum, and how much has she impacted your footy life and life in general?
Yeah, she's I couldn't have asked for a better mum. She had me really young, and helped bring me up with her parents, my grandparents as well. So she did a whole lot from a really young age, and still my number one supporter, and comes to games whenever she can. And I talk to her a few times a week just over the phone and that. So I'm really lucky that I got a good mum, and she's doing really well.
Yep. And your grandparents, obviously, you have a good relationship with them as well. Is it true that your grandparents, Paul and Diane, I should mention, is it true that Paul has come to every single game since you've been drafted?
I think he might have missed 1 or 2, but he's come to like most of the Perth games. Yeah, all the ones in Queensland. I think he might have missed 1 or 2, but yeah, he rarely misses a game. So he's struggling a bit at the moment with not being allowed to come to any games, being from Melbourne, obviously. But yeah, since I was little, whatever sport I was playing, he was always there.
That's remarkable. Is it awesome to have your grandpa in the stands for every game? Obviously not this season, but
yeah, it's unreal. Yeah, as I said, very lucky to have such good grandparents and family to bring me up.
Lovely. And when you get the chance, mate, obviously COVID's thrown us all a bit off, but in the off season, when you get to do a bit of traveling, where have you gone? Where's been your favourite places, and who do you like to travel with?
I've done a few trips. I try and travel as much as possible. I think it's probably my favourite thing to do. So I went to the States last year with my housemate Harry and another mate Tommy Sheridan. So I stayed with Dad and that for a bit, and then kind of branched off with them, and did LA and New York and that, which was really fun. Year before that, I did a bit of Europe, Amsterdam and Berlin and London and Barcelona with a few boys. I saw Cogs, Stephen Canelio and Jager and Ramira and that over there, which was really cool. So yeah, any chance I can get, I just want to travel. So I think it's one of the best things you can do as a kid.
Absolutely. I could not agree more, mate. And do you like staying in the more opulent places, or do you ever jump in the backpackers?
No, we tried both actually in Europe. I got a funny story. We were staying in Amsterdam, and we thought we'll just try and rough it up a bit and stay in the backpackers. And so we went to a festival that night, and we got home in the morning, and expecting it was just like a private room. Me, Matt, and my housemate Harry. So we come back in the morning, and we were about to go to bed, just hit the sack, and then all of a sudden, this kid on the top bunk just pops his head up and goes, "What the hell are you doing in here?" And we're like, "What the hell are you doing in here?" It was just this guy, this random kid was just sleeping on the top bunk by himself. We'd never seen him before. Scared the shit out of us, but no, he was all right. His name was Dom or something, and I think we woke up like in the afternoon and he was gone. Bags were gone and everything, but we had all our stuff luckily, so kind of lucky.
Well, mate, you are lucky, because that's the least of your worries in a backpack, because I've had a lot worse.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah, I know. There's probably nothing compared to what's happened before.
So just in the workings of the club now, mate, you've got guys like Tommy Sheridan, Dylan Buckley, absolute characters. Heath Shaw's a bit past his Rat Pack glory days. Who are the biggest characters you've met around the club, and maybe the ones who are still there?
Yeah, Tommy's a lot of work. He's a funny man. I do hang out with him a fair bit, and he's an absolute cracker. So I'd probably say Tommy's the funniest bloke at the club, and half the time he's just taking the piss out of everything. So it's good to be good mates with him and have him bringing up the vibes, I reckon.
That does not surprise me one little bit. So every week we do a question from a page that we collaborate with called Everything AFL HQ, and they asked a player a question, or one of their fans does. So this week the question's from Samuel Harambanis, and the question is, who is the hardest player to play against and why?
Hardest player? There's a few. I reckon my hardest is probably on Fife, Nathan Fife. Played on him a couple of years ago, and tried to tag him, I think he just got like 5 centre bounce clearances in a row on me, and I was just like got absolutely towed up. He was just so big and powerful, and strong and clean. So he'd be one of the hardest to play against just from his pure size and strength, I reckon.
And are there any players that give you plenty of chat and talk a bit of shit?
Yeah, Dane Zorko's pretty chirpy. I have some fun playing on that bloke. I don't know if a few blokes have said that, but he's a character I like to play against. I reckon he's very chirpy.
I bet you'd look forward to that one. Now, good mate Duke Miller looks forward to that as well.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of things Tukey said that Zorko said in his ears, so I can imagine what he says, mate.
They've had some good battles, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had some good battles.
And are you the type to ever whisper sweet nothings into your opponent's ear, or do you stay away and just let your actions do the talking?
I don't know. Kind of depends how I'm going, what type of mood I'm in. But yeah, if I got something to say, I'll say it, I guess.
Oh, we love that.
We love that. The last question I've got for you, mate, is there a bloke at the club or a lady who's like a senior player, a coach, someone who works around the club, who's been like a mentor and really, played that role for you in your first few years at the club, someone you've been able to turn to for advice or guidance?
Yeah, I do a lot of work with Lenny Hayes, who's the midfield coach. So I guess I was really lucky to step into the club and be mentored by him straight away. So I do, heaps of work with him and review all my games and trainings with him, and obviously aspired a bit to be, a player like him. So he's probably the man for me. And I guess, I'm really lucky to have that guy to mentor me through my years.
And is it really quite a personal relationship, or is it more of a footy relationship?
Well, I'd say it's a bit of both. We talk pretty regularly, even throughout the week and stuff. I guess early days, it was just probably footy. But as we're going on, into my 4th year now, we've got a good close relationship.
Fantastic. Well, that's all I've got for you, mate. Poncho, you've got anything to add, brother?
No, that's it, mate. I just want to thank you once again for getting up early for us and giving us a chop out on our freshly new podcast. So
massive.
Really appreciate it, mate.
No worries, boys. Had a good time. Good start as well. I liked it. Thank you very much.
Cheers, brother. I really appreciate it.
Thanks very much, mate. Tim Taranto, guys. I really hope everyone enjoyed that as much as we did. Want to give a massive shout out to Timmy Taranto once again for coming on before training and giving the boys a chop out. What do you reckon, Poncho?
Yeah, it was good. Just rapt to have someone of his caliber on the show and giving us a chop out once again. Really enjoyed having him on.
Yep. So, guys, make sure wherever you're listening, subscribe, hit the like button, do what you can to give the boys a chop out so that we can continue to bring you the best content that our half-sucked mango lids possibly can. I've been the Moose.
I have been the Ponch, and next time you tune in, bring a mate.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hello Game Day podcast.
If you're listening right now, that means you've made it to the end of the episode, and maybe even enjoyed what you've heard.
If so, you can join us on all major social media platforms, as well as audio podcasting platforms and YouTube. Or just head on over to our website at www.hellogameday.co and hit subscribe to join our mailing list where you can receive weekly updates on the podcast. We'd like to give a massive thank you to our producer Ethan Curtin. Find him on Instagram at Room 10 Company. as well as Equal Tech, who have given us an office space to work in. And our beautiful graphic design is done by Chev at Graphic Design. He's been the Ponch.
He's been the Moose. And next time you drop in, bring a mate.